publish their book, because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Let's be honest, wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Let's be honest, wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Nowhere but Texas, that's where I'll be. Get home, see answers to all my dreams. I know one thing.
Morning. Can you hear me all right? Mic check 1, 2. All good. Welcome to the County Pulse. And I got a privilege of having the mayor of Alvarado, Texas, Jacob Wheat.
It's my privilege. I appreciate being here, Chris.
Oh, man. Jacob was kind of thrown into the mix of being mayor at one time. But let me tell you something. You've done a great job with all the growth and all the stuff you got going. It's really been, I've been impressed with you. So you've done good. Want to thank our sponsor, Alpha Omega, old Tim Davis. Thank you, bud. You appreciate that. The man's good at what he does. I hadn't quite understood his email. I think it's a license to kill. So anyway, whatever works for Tim. So thank you on that. We've had a lot of things going on at the city. We finished up our council meeting last night, and it was only 2 items. Most of it was about being more efficient in public works with the software we want to get. And that was about it. It was a very, very short meeting, which we're not used to that. So that's great. But then again, that's kind of a break because we got budget season coming up. We'll make up for that time. So everybody out there, thank you very much for listening. The call-in number is 817-637-2585. And we're just going to visit. First half of the show, we're going to pick your brain on how you got here. And
Not much to pick.
Were you raised in Alvarado?
No, I moved to Alvarado in 2005.
From where?
Last place I lived was Waxahachie.
Okay.
I've lived in Texas most of my life.
Cool.
So around the Metroplex.
Jacob, hold your headphones out. Jacob is a down-home mayor. Those were earrings.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I saw you, your beard was actually longer than that. And the first time we spoke, you had just taken over being mayor because the mayor there, Tom, had an opportunity for ministry.
Yeah, he was relocating to Jacksboro.
So you were handed the job. You did a great job. First time we spoke, you called me up saying, "Who does your fireworks show?"
Was that the first call?
That was the first call. That was like 2020 or 21.
21, yeah.
So it's good. How's the job going?
It has been a wonderful experience.
Is that what
It is, yeah.
So you was there was that the tail end of COVID?
Yeah. COVID was lockdown started in March of 20, and then through the summer when school started to start back up, and that first holiday season, it was very stressful for everybody at the tail end of 2020. And then I stepped in as pro tem when Tom resigned in January of 21. So I've been here a little bit over 3 years, and when we got into 21, a lot of people were ready for lockdown to be over and COVID to be over. And so that fireworks show, that was the first big event where the community wanted to get back out and experience things again. So that's why we were really pushing for a good show that year.
Yeah. Alvarado is a lot like Burleson. We're just common people. We don't like to be told what to do. And yeah, but I understand that. So I know you go to Austin. I know that you've been to Austin on some issues and gotten in front of members that we didn't like, because I remember the conversation we were having at the time was the way Austin is really limiting the cities. So yeah, that you went to, who'd you visit with in Austin? You remember?
So the last legislative session I went down to, and I talked to several different of the state reps and state senators, and made sure I got to Dwayne Burns, who's our local representative, went by his office as well, just to go down there and share with them. Part of it was on the industry side. I have a full-time job in addition to my volunteer services.
So where you work in Burleson?
Actually, I spend most of my working time in Midlothian and Ellis County.
Okay.
But the company I work for, the main office is actually right here in Burleson on the highway.
Paul Carmy,
yeah, Liquid Stone Concrete.
I was going to suck it out of you there one way or another, but Burleson.
Yeah, no, good people. So, but yeah, I was able to spend some different time with some different legislators and talk about industry, talk about municipal government, and just trying to make sure that they hear from us as constituents, right? We as city leaders, we want to hear from the residents of our communities. We want them, our phone numbers are on the website, our emails are on the website. We encourage them to come to the meetings, and we want to listen to what people have to say. Well, our state reps need the same thing from us as community leaders. And so as a representative of my entire community, I went down to Austin during legislative session so I could say, hey, these are things that are important to Alvarado and what's going on for our residents.
Yes, absolutely. Dwayne's he's always been there for us. He's always listened to us, and we don't always get what we want, but being mayors, we know we can't give everything we want to give. So right. I understand that. We we're going to have a problem with the show today because you and I are very short answers, and we don't talk a whole lot. We kind of sit at the back of the room and answer questions when we have to. So
Right.
Today, with everything that Burleson has going, I-35, Venus, Alvarado, and Grandview, that group out in that area. I want to talk really about how the county has got involved, and there's a lot of aspects to this with the Judge Bedecker and the commissioners have gotten the master plan, which I think has been needed for a long time. And then we'll go to there about the potential bond for the county and all the entities. It's not just a county bond, it's city, ISD, and the real potential of federal matching funds on that, which is huge. So what are the needs of Alvarado right now? Because I know
Right.
we're tied together. Keene's in there too, and 35, 917, 67. You got your hands full down there.
Well, so let's kind of go back and talk about the first thing that you mentioned is all the different communities that are in our county. And so, we got Burleson on the northern boundary line. When you go from Tarrant to Johnson County, you're entering into Johnson County, you're coming through Burleson. And then as people travel throughout the county, then they're going to go to Alvarado's next town down and Grandview. Likewise, if you're coming from Dallas, you're going down 67. And so you leave Ellis County, and then your Venus is split half and half. They're half Ellis, half Johnson. Yeah, that's bad. And so you go through Venus, and then the next town is going to be Alvarado. So and then from there you can continue on to Grandview, Keene, everything else. Well, two things have happened over the last period of time. We've got a lot of new leadership in our area, a lot of new county commissioners, new mayors, and so each of these individuals has brought their respective organizations and said, hey, we realize that we're part of the big picture. And we need to have some dialogue. We need to have some cooperation. We're all working on solving the same problems. Let's work together instead of separately. And so in the last short period of time, just reaching out, building relationships with you here in Burleson, Venus's new mayor, Keene's mayor, Bedecker, Cleveland's mayor.
Good for us too.
Yeah. So we've I've been on city council since 2010. So I've been involved in Alvarado for a long time. And for the first 10 years I was there, and I've told the county commissioners, shame on me, I never went to a county commissioner meeting. 10 years on council, and I never even went out there. And so I've been able to go to one since and focus on shrinking our county where we're all part of the same community.
Yes.
And so instead of each of us individually trying to solve our own problems, now we've got dialogue, we've got communication, and as more and more people are coming to Johnson County and locating here, and they're filling in between the city boundaries to those ETJs and unincorporated areas, they're part of the community discussion. There's plenty of people that live outside Alvarado city limits, but they consider themselves part of Alvarado.
Yes.
And so, we've got to include them in those discussions. They're part of the dialogue. They're part of the solution. When we come to things like infrastructure and public needs, water, wastewater, streets, those critical issues that we're having to face with rapid growth is how do we build that infrastructure to meet those needs? So one thing that's happened, and I appreciate your leadership, Chris, over the last, year to 2 years, where we've started having county meetings. I know you hosted one, we hosted one. We came out of the last legislative session, and our attorneys gave a breakdown to all the local leaders.
TML? Was that TML?
No, that was TOAST.
TOAST.
It's the city's representation.
That was a scary one because they was actually bringing to bear what Austin was trying to do to the control of cities.
It was what you need to know and not what you want to hear.
I remember walking out of that room, my jaw going, I can't believe this.
Yeah. And fortunately, some of the really bad stuff still being challenged in the legal system. So, a lot of those, like the House Bill 2127 is not being enforced yet. The cities have not adopted ordinances that would be in confliction with. So we're still waiting for some of that stuff to play out as well. But and that circles back to the community-wide dialogue, the county-wide dialogue, and all of us trying to get on that same page. So that as the cities are talking to the county commissioners, and as Johnson County is talking to Austin with our state legislators, we want to be on that same page. And like I said, we're all working to address the same issues.
Well, and I think one of the next steps, excuse me, the next steps that I want to see done, and one of the reasons, and I get asking us, why are you helping Cleveland out or Alvarado and all this, is because when we go to Austin, I want us to be united.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you. Commissioner Bailey goes quite a bit. We need to have y'all's back. I know that we got planned for our council member, Adam Russell. He's going to start going, and I'm going to start going more. I've got the work that I've needed to set up. I feel like is on the right path. So it's now for me to get involved with Austin also. We need to get our list together to who is receptive to us and who's not. And I know there's a few that is not. So we need to win them over. The purpose of bringing everybody together was the unity, but also the master plan of the county. Okay. And Judge Bedecker got that going by having the master plan done by Freeze and Nickel. What's your input on that?
So the master plan you're talking about is the thoroughfare master plan, where we're looking at how we move through the area, because congestion and traffic is one of the biggest, if not
how do we
biggest
manage the
complaint.
200,000 people heading our way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially next Monday. That's really going to be bad. So don't get out if you don't have to, people, please. Enjoy the eclipse from your home or your community.
I hope it's clear.
Well, the forecast is bad for Monday. It's going to be cloudy, overcast. It's not going to be clear skies for your eclipse next Monday. But in a totality event, it's still going to get dark, and so you may not be able to see the whatever the ring around the sun is. I can't remember what they call it, but it's still going to be dark, and you still get to experience. It's a once in a lifetime event.
That's a good spin.
It absolutely is. And I-35 is going to be a parking lot. 67 is going to be a parking lot. So there's still going to be a lot of people that are coming to the area. And so like Hillsboro is one of the top destinations. So everybody that came to Dallas Fort Worth for the eclipse, they're going to be going down 35 through Burleson and through Alvarado to get down to Hillsboro for a lot of the events down there. So if you're having to travel next Monday after 1:30, try to get where you need to be before 1:30 next Monday.
Yeah, Burleson ISD, they've turned school out.
Yeah, AISD is closed Monday as well, because the buses aren't going to be able to get the kids home. There's just we're anticipating a lot of traffic.
Well, another issue was kids going outside and looking at it.
Yeah.
And they were worried about the liability on that. And I agree with that 100%. That's an issue with the traffic.
Yeah. So, and we'll tie that back to the thoroughfare plan then is, Alvarado has the intersection 2 main highways. We got Interstate 35W, and then we've got US Highway 67. And so anybody going south out of Fort Worth, they go down 35. Anybody going south out of Dallas, they're coming down 67. So, our rush hour afternoon traffic, that intersection on 67, it'll back up at least one mile worth of stoplights and traffic to try to get through there. And when Jennifer Vanderland we hosted a meeting for the thoroughfare plan out in Alvarado for the county residents, and this is Johnson County is working on their independent. They're getting feedback and communication from the cities, but this is going to be the county's side of things. And so Alvarado already has a master thoroughfare plan in place, and so we provide a copy of that so that they can help match up. If we've got a street, they want to know where our street ends at the end of the city limits so that they know where to pick that up on the county side of it. So but that was one of the main things I was able to talk with area engineers about was, on 67, how do we alleviate this traffic? And there's just no there's no side roads, there's no alternate routes. And so, what are those east-west corridors to help move traffic across the county? Because it's thicker on the east side, and it's only going to get worse as the population grows, that you're going to have more traffic, and it's going to continue to move west towards the western part of the county as well. So, we got FM 917 as a key corridor, but the north of 67, that's about the biggest main road you got is 917. There's a couple of county roads south of town that you can come across, 109 and 1807. Those are some alternate routes that people haven't figured out yet. I probably shouldn't have said that live.
I've been there. Don't worry about it.
Sometimes that's how I come home. But widening those, creating those, making them, straighten them out, making them more accessible, things like that. And so that's, in addition to adding lanes to help accommodate traffic, straightening roads out, acquiring right of way.
And that's the one thing about the bond package that'll come out. It's not just strictly about brand new roads, and the potential of matching federal funds, which is the COG, of which we have that covered with Victoria. She's on the executive board now, and that makes a huge difference. Hopefully she'll be on there for a while. How do you think? I'm on the NTTA advisory board, and one of the tasks that we have is the 360 toll road that's going to go over I-20, and that's going to go straight into 67. Now, that's going to give opportunity for growth.
So 360 over 287 down to 67?
360 over I-20.
It's already over 20. You're
Right.
talking about Mansfield.
They're going to bring it all the way down to 67.
Okay. Yeah. So,
And where they're going to strike is somewhere around Venus.
yeah.
So is 67 going to handle a toll road coming down to it?
I think there's plenty of room over there. That's a large unincorporated area. You got a bunch of private landowners. The hardest part is going to be dealing with the issue of eminent domain. A couple of individual property owners that don't want to sell their family's lifelong homestead to make way for a 6-lane highway. And so that's a tough spot to be in. That's a tough spot for anybody to be in.
Yeah, we're there with some of the stuff we got going on. I hate that. That is part of the bad side of the job.
Yeah, FM 917's realignment between Burleson and Mansfield. There's I've got friends who grew up on a property that's one of the proposed routes.
I had the same situation.
It's a struggle. There's no easy answer to that one.
So yeah, it's not fun and games sometimes, is it?
Mm-mm.
So we come up, well, we go down 360, hit 67. Then you've got that 67 goes into 35. That's a mess. It's getting better, but that's a mess.
Yeah.
Now, your construction in Alvarado on 35 and your access roads and stuff of that nature, that 35 is going to get more lanes going all the way to Burleson. Is that next on the plate? Have you heard anything from TxDOT on what they're going to do? Are they going to continue that, or do you know anything about that?
So the current construction is just a small project for a main lane realignment. There was in the old days, been around long. When you in there, when you start talking about where things used to be, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
been here a minute. So we used to have a left exit there.
I know I use it.
Yeah, and so the northbound lane was separated from the southbound lane. And what they've done is there was a pretty severe curve, and there's high frequency of accidents. The northbound on-ramp was very short. It was on an incline. There was a lot of heavy truck traffic trying to get up to speed, and they weren't able to merge with lanes. And so it was not safe. And so TxDOT has gone in and made that safer by sliding the main lanes, the northbound main lanes over, so the curve is not so severe. And then the on-ramp is moved further north, so you don't have a lot of that heavy traffic and a blind curve not up to speed. So that's what they're wrapping up now, is just creating those service roads and those main lanes. And so that should be wrapping up here fairly soon. So we're excited about that. Well, the project you're talking about is the I-35 segment 2, and it's currently it's in an unfunded stage, which means that
We never know.
they'd like to, but it's not they haven't priced it out, so it's not even thought about for going for bid. Something that I was able to do a couple years ago was join a virtual meeting at the 30% plans. And so TxDOT's going to track a project at 30% plans, 60% plans, 90% plans, 100% plans. And so I had found out about this proposed segment 2, where what they're wanting to do currently is 4-lane divided with 2-way service roads. And the vision is to have it 6-lane divided with 2 full service roads on the east side and west side that would be 1 lane. And so, make it a nice big highway down past 67. And so my number one interest on giving input on that project was in making improvements to the 6735 interchange. And so it was a virtual meeting that I sat on a computer for 2 hours because they worked their way from north to south. And so I patiently waited on a computer.
Fort Worth's always first. Okay. Yeah, I know.
I don't sit still well either, or do computers. So, so when I got down there, I said, I raised my hand and I was like, hey, this is a whole new reason I'm here. And I said, so I want you guys to look at that interchange, because what we currently have now is a gate. There's so many people, once you get clear of 35, if you're heading to Cleaver and stuff like that, then it's free flowing, traffic's nowhere near as bad, but because of that light at 35, you've created a gate, which is what's causing that traffic to back up. And so how can we improve the function of that gate? And so if y'all are going to be spending $umpteen million widening, adding lanes and doing bridge construction, everything else, I don't have the answer. I'm just telling you what the problem is. And this is a problem, but if I don't tell you, you don't know it's a problem.
That's
so
right.
I said, guess what? US 67 is a state highway too. So since we're talking about TxDOT, it's your problem too. We own that together. And so I encouraged them, and they started looking at what the actual peak backup was and how 67 is being impacted by that. And so they did come up, by the time they reached 60% plans, they did came up with a proposed solution. Which I learned about and I researched. It's called a double diamond interchange. And
Oh my goodness. See, they're talking about that on 1187 30.
Are they really?
35,
Yeah.
And their example is Nebraska Furniture Mart. That's a diamond there. The one that you can get lost on the McMaster. Yeah.
Well, it has advantages and disadvantages. Basically, it takes it right, and we have a 5-cycle timer at that intersection, because when you come out of the QT Starbucks, it's a 2-lane road. So anybody that turns out the other direction, instead of being a 4-cycle timer, now it's a 5-cycle timer. So that doesn't help traffic. I did talk to TxDOT about making that just a 1-way so that we can eliminate 1 cycle. But the issue is, were somebody to go south, when you get to the railroad tracks, you can't, it doesn't U-turn back to north. So if somebody turns out the wrong way, they'll either have to get on the highway or they get spit in the middle of town where we got a no truck route. So, they're aware of it. We've had some discussions with them on it, but that is part of if we can take it down to just 2 cycles, then that will greatly improve traffic through there. The hazard becomes, and this is the danger and the risk associated with them, at 2:00 at night on a double diamond, it puts traffic to the other side of the road. We're used to driving on the right-hand side, but you're going to have to move to the left-hand side of the road in a double diamond interchange. And when there's no traffic out there and you don't have anybody to follow, then you have a greater risk of a head-on collision. So it's not, there's no perfect
solution.
They
realize that.
Well, and you do. I mean, you do lights, markings, things like that, curb for barrier, but I mean, it only takes a drunk driving accident, somebody that's flying through there at 40 miles an hour and drunk driving at 2 a.m. to blow over a curb and wind up in an accident. But and so those are the real risks and hazards.
But do you consider that the startup of a new road? I mean, once they get used to it, do you think it's going to get better, or is that just something you're going to have to live through until it gets better?
There's not the challenge, and the reason why the double diamond has been proposed is there's just not a lot of land and real estate to try to improve the interchanges. There's not enough room for a cloverleaf or anything like that. So you either stay with the stoplight style intersection or, have to come up with a creative solution.
Yeah. And they were explaining to me how the diamond intersection, like right now, when you want to get on 35 off 1187, you have stoplights. With this type intersection, you don't stop at the intersection. You come up, you swing around, and you get on. And that goes in both directions. The the 174 will be included in that exchange.
Yeah.
So it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, and there's some good websites out there that can help with some diagrams. Really? Yeah, because I wanted to get educated on it to know if it was good or bad for Alvarado, and so seeing how does that work, how does that improve traffic, and what are the risks associated with it. So you can go out there and do a little bit of research on it, and they've got some models that will show you the traffic flow and basically what makes it that 2-cycle time instead of a 4-cycle light.
I've been really impressed with TxDOT, how they have had the public hearings and the setting up everything to see everything. And I keep looking at the clock because 35 seconds, we're going to go to a break. I appreciate you being here today.
My pleasure.
And you always impress me how knowledgeable you are of the details. I'm a big picture guy. We need guys like you. So anyway, we're going to go on a break here in a little bit. Thank you, Tim Davis and Alpha Omega and all you guys out there. Thank you, Tiffany, for the access to the store. So we'll be back in a little bit.
Yeah, nowhere but Texas.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Nowhere but Texas. That's where I'll be. Get home's the answer to all my dreams. I know one thing, God calls me. Nowhere but Texas is where I'll be.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. I got some reading to do. Got to do the paycheck here. Joco Community Radio is a member of Emergency A Radio, EMG A Radio,
Emergency.
and Emergency A Radio.
EMG.
EMG. Okay, I hear you. Yes, ma'am. Podcast Collective, proudly serving communities like Johnson and Tarrant County, Texas, and we are live live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network and on our station app. Check out our lineup and more at tuneinjoco.com. We thank our valued partners in helping us amplify the voices of our communities. You heard the commercials. Be sure to connect with Todd Hurd and Associates, attorneys at law. Use code JOCO2024 for 25% off your first order, and the tiffy.com. And join the Swipe Nation today and save on your credit card processing at swipenationusa.com, locally owned and operated. Reach out to Tiffany at Joco, and the Joco's got joco.co, okay, at jococommunityradio.com for advertising rates as low as $50 a month. That's a deal. That is a deal. Mayor, I think we're going to have the diamond up on the screen here a little bit so everybody can look at it.
I didn't mean to open that can of worms.
Oh, that's okay. It's I can see it being a good thing.
Yeah.
But it really takes repetitiveness to learn how to go through it. But once you do, it's worth it. It really is.
Well, and we're waiting on them to pull it up. The big picture, what started this discussion is what are our growth needs and infrastructure and roads and streets and moving traffic through here. And it's going to take creative solutions, as fast as people are coming.
There we go.
And this is something that I've seen in other communities that I work in as well. But as fast as we're growing, we can't build the infrastructure fast enough. And whether you're talking water, wastewater, roads, people are coming faster than what we can get this infrastructure built to even accommodate it. And then by the time we get it built, we've already outgrown that.
I know.
And that's going to
I got hit up the other day about, so why don't you just pay cash for these roads? Well, we could save up for that, and it'd take 3 or 4 years. By the time we get the money to save one project, there's no telling how many more projects we have to save. I mean, it's an endless route. The bond package is literally the only way we can pay for stuff.
And we've got a key road in Alvarado. We've got Cummings Road. It has a junior high on it, and it's got an elementary school on it, and it's where all of the new houses have gone. And it's an old 2-lane country road. And beginning in 21, we began the process of securing federal matching grant funds to help pay for this $10 million road in Alvarado. We got about,
and your population is what?
5,000.
Now,
fortunately, we got an 80% matching grant, so the feds are kicking in $8 million of taxpayer money. We still pay for that, but it's not coming from the Alvarado's local budget. We just got to come up with $2 million. But it's 2024. We're 3 years down the road. We're still in planning. We're still doing the environmental studies that are required and doing the relationships with TxDOT for funding agreements and all those things. And so, it's going to be next year, hopefully spring of 25. We're in construction early 25.
So it brings up another question. When you do shovel ready for TxDOT, okay, I was under the impression that the engineering was shovel ready. It's really not. I learned from Parker County that we were getting jumped over with our roads, but Parker County was doing not only the engineering, but also the moving the utilities, purchasing the right of way, which I really agree with. I don't want, if we're going to buy land from our neighbors, I don't want them having to deal with state. Okay. Sure. But we also do the EPA. That's Parker County. Do y'all do the same thing? What do you do?
So we just, this is our first joint project with TxDOT, and we moved right-of-way acquisition out of the scope of the project because we're trying to expedite the timeline. We can individually do right-of-way acquisition now instead of waiting for TxDOT's workflow and say, okay, well, you can't do that till here. So we just shaved 6 months off the project.
Absolutely.
Because, I'm a businessman. I move at the speed of business, not the speed of government. It drives me nuts.
Oh, exactly. And the thing about it is you get reimbursed for the expense. It's not like you have to front it.
Yeah.
But when you do it, you get reimbursed on the project. So when we're shovel ready, we really weren't shovel ready.
Yeah.
When Parker and you get shovel ready, TxDOT says, "Oh, we got a vacancy here. Let's get it."
Tell me what the rules are, and I'll win the game.
That you're making us look bad. Okay, so
okay,
here's where we're at on this. So let's move down 35 to the 917 intersection. Okay, which is Keene and going to Mansfield on 2 lanes.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know anything about that?
I'm more familiar with the eastern half of the project, the 917 realignment from Burleson to Mansfield. Some proposed routes that they've looked at for that one.
Yeah. I sat in on and this was something else I learned through this is how many divisions of TxDOT Fort Worth, and y'all got Keene. Are you in Keene?
Yeah, we work with the office out of Keene.
There was 3 different text dots, and we was talking about 917. We had the get together on that, and they didn't know that Renfro was going into 917. They was talking about the turn, and I asked them. I said, "You don't have any access to that road there. What are you talking about?" That was like, okay,
yeah.
So they're working on that now.
Yeah, Renfro on the north, Cummings on the south.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, the 917. I'm not even sure if that's funded.
I don't know if it's funded or not. They were in the public comment phase with what those proposed routes were.
And hats off on that. They really do have a good public. Anybody that gets a notice about TxDOT building a road, they had it at the old Holiday Inn there on 35, and they had a full layout. They had people there to answer questions and take suggestions. It was well done, and they've done the same thing in Keene and Alvarado, hadn't they?
Yeah.
Did they have one in Alvarado or just in Keene?
It was at Lillian Elementary, which is part of AISD, but it's on 917.
Okay. Excellent. So hats off to them. Michael Morris is in charge of TxDOT, and he has just really done a great job. He's a force to deal with. And it's better to agree with him than not. Okay. So anyway, that's going good. Tell me about it. Your square, the city square.
Oh, downtown revitalization.
Yes.
That's it's an exciting time for me to talk about that. You know, as I mentioned, I started 3 years ago in this role, and you know, we had a lot of work to do, and you know, we realized that Alvarado's on the edge of explosive growth. You know, there are people who don't want to see it coming. There are people who are excited about it coming, and then there are the people that are coming. So you know, it takes, you know, we're mindful of all opinions on it. One thing that everybody agrees on is we want to see something happen with our square. We want to see downtown revitalization. Over the last few years, we've built a fantastic team and an organization so when we talk about like the city of Alvarado, you know, we have the global view, the residents, the community, what makes that the business community, the churches, the volunteer service organization, what makes Alvarado. But at the same time, Chris, you're very aware that we're responsible to lead an organization that serves those citizens. And so you have your city staff, you have police, fire, administration, public works, and all those things that are basically they have one customer, and that's the resident of Alvarado. And that's their job, is to serve that customer to the best of their ability. And so you know, we identified 3 years ago that on the edge of that explosive growth, we needed to put together a team that could capture and lead and direct that growth. And so, you know, we got a new city manager 3 years ago. We got police chief, fire chief, our 45-year veteran, Richard Van Winkle, retired. We were able to recognize and honor him at we just had an employee banquet for the first time. Just last month, our new city secretary / HR director. You know, we went from an HR representative to HR director level talent, and so we've really got some top tier talent into our organization that serves those citizens. And so
people are everything.
They are, and
absolutely, we got it here.
Absolutely. And so this year we've added a communications director, a EDC director for EDC and downtown revitalization, and a events manager. And so, you know, we had to start with those big positions first and start peeling that onion and peeling those layers away. But we've drilled down to being able to add to our team an EDC downtown revitalization director. Like I said, I'm old school. If you want something done, you got to put somebody in charge of it. Who's in charge of it? All right, so Hillary is.
Oh no.
But so now she's been able to spend a month or two talking to the property owners on the square, identifying who's got what, who the decision makers are, who the owners are, who tenants are, who's active, what kind of properties might be available. And we did in late 21. We did a downtown revitalization study. We used Downtown Strategies as a firm to come in, and they gave us some ideas on what the market makeup is, what our what our shrink is, the leakage dollars, how many grocery dollars are going to Burleson. Uh, sorry.
Yeah, I know. We appreciate it too.
But so we know what we've got good bones in our downtown. We've got that central gazebo, green space area for events and activities. We've got the what do people generally want to see that development become? Currently, we're a daytime community, so professional services. City Hall's on the square. We've got law firm on the square. We've got financial services on the square, and so currently that's why you don't see a lot of foot traffic and things like that. But people are more interested in evening and weekend type activities. So getting shopping, dining, retail, those types of wine bars and things like that is what people say they're wanting to see. Now, there's not a market for it. So now you got to make something out of nothing, right? Because we're a daytime community. The people, like we've got some major employers in our area. So the lunch crowds, we got a brand newly remodeled, reopened Crossroads Cafe right there at 67 and 35. I've been there twice already. Food's fantastic. And I mean, we got Todd Massey with his barbecue place. His lunch business is great. So lunch crowds are great for what our market is. But how do you shift towards, and how do you be intentional about shifting towards developing that dining, retail, events driven activity? And so that's what this initial team is put in place for, is to start to create events and activities, create events and activities on the square. We recently added some green space for pecan orchard venues, so we can have some outdoor festivals. We're looking at acquiring additional parking areas, because you start bringing more people, you got to have more parking, and you got to solve all these problems. Yeah. So that's what's great now. We just had our local hardware store, GNL Hardware. They recently joined a co-op for Ace. So now GNL has access to Ace Hardware's marketing, promotions, inventory, pricing. So that's a great thing for Greg and Lana at GNL, is to be able to become, Ace Hardware as well on the square in Alvarado. So, and that's what it's going to be it's that snowball effect, right? You got to see a little bit, you got to see a little bit, you got to see a little bit. And then once it gets going, and everybody catches the vision, and they're, we have a bunch of small independent individual owners. Money's hard to come by. I mean, projects are expensive, construction's expensive, inflation's out of control. And so to go in and remodel a building, it's going to take big bucks to do those remodels, to try to get things open and running. So, people are going to be conservative about spending until they think and see that the opportunity is there. So,
do you offer any kind of incentives for your businesses, or do you have anything like that available?
So that's why the EDC director role is so critical. And so we're actually doing this month, we're having a joint visioning workshop in Alvarado between City Council, our Economic Development Corporation, and our Planning and Zoning Commission. We're pulling all three of those groups in together, because we're at that pivotal point of, what's your vision for the future of the community? You guys are the decision makers that have been tasked to lead and represent. And so this is the team in place, and they're going to need your direction on what you want to see. And so it'd be the first time I've done a joint workshop with all three groups. Pray for me.
Drink early.
Yeah. And, but that's, so with EDC, I hate to just kind of assume everybody knows exactly what it is, but the short version is, my vision for EDC is really investment in that small business. These large corporations and these mega investors and developers that are coming to our small towns, they got the money to do what they want to do. They don't need a lot of cash incentives from the city. They're going to ask for everything.
Yeah.
They know how to ask for everything. But if we've got a small pot in our EDC fun to help somebody, what's going to give me that biggest return on investment? So those independent business owners, that small business that the backbone of America is built on, who are trying to grow their, these people that own the property on a square, these boutiques and restaurants that you want to run, they're going to live in the community. They're going to support that community, and they're invested in that community. And so those are the ones that you really want to take those dollars and help them accomplish their goals, and not try to do these major mega projects and get these out of town developers with incentives in. They're going to come if it's right. Anyway.
Good job. That's really impressive, because you've got your hands full. You get the growth. Now you got to figure out how to get the stuff to them, your utilities and stuff of that nature. And that's what gets a lot of towns in a pickle, trying to pay for something that you don't have a revenue stream off of yet.
Right.
So, and we're all having to deal with that. So how big is the footprint of Alvarado? I mean, are you landlocked? How landlocked are you? Where do you stop at Venus?
We have joint ETJ boundaries with Venus, Burleson, and Keene.
Keene, I didn't know that.
Yeah, where Nick Stewart's Hardware is and Ogburn Truck Parts is on 67.
Yes,
that's essentially the joint ETJ boundary there. So that'd be as far west as we could do future annexation, unless we do an ETJ swap. So, and those are possibilities. So last year, something really cool for Alvarado in 2023, we did have a general election in May for a home rule charter. And so our voters passed that.
For that.
That's a big deal.
It is.
That's a big deal. And I'm glad we got it done before the last legislative session concluded, because the state really stuck it to home rule cities. But anyway,
I know.
Yeah. But part of that was extending those ETJ boundaries. So we got that 1 mile. We were previously at a half mile boundary. We got it to that 1 mile extension before the state said you can't extend your boundaries anymore. So they basically said ETJ doesn't matter anymore. So, but it's good to have those in place now, because the laws will continue to change. Austin's going to make some adjustments. So.
And really the people that have ETJ property, the county's tougher than the city is. They don't realize that we have some issues on road construction or egress, stuff like that. Yeah, I agree that, but the county's got tougher rules than the city does on a lot of stuff.
I've done projects out in the counties, and I've had to work with some county public work departments across the Metroplex. Yes. So, I've done some paving projects in Ellis County where they have their inspector sitting there the entire time that you're paving.
Yeah. And they want an 80,000 pound fire truck to be able to drive on it.
Well, like Ellis County is I'm a concrete guy. I do concrete. And so, I apologize for doing technical, but you got to run straight cement in Ellis County. The fly ash is not allowed. You got to do 4,000 PSI. You can't do 3,600. I mean, that's
expense.
It is. It drives up that process. Now, if the developer's absorbing the cost, that's great. I'm all in favor of the developer doing the project the right way. But that's the same struggle that we deal with is, in our local cities, we've got folks that we want to help them accomplish their goals, and then other developers that you want to help hold them to standards. Because we do. I'll compliment, and Alvarado Bloomfield Homes does a great job being a community partner. They've made a long-term commitment to development in Alvarado. They've done some great projects, and so they invest in. They voluntarily do a walking trail. I mean, they add value to the community, and they're here to stay. Other developers that do that quick flip, we got a guy from Houston that's wanting to come in, do a project, and be gone. They're leaving a problem for the residents 40 years down the road. If they do a substandard development, if they do substandard streets, if they do package plants, all these MUDs that are popping up everywhere, the developer's not building a plant that's going to last 40 years. 40 years from now, when you and I aren't here, somebody else is going to have to solve the problems that we left behind. So, MUDs are bad. I don't know. I'll tell you that right now. But who's going to take over these plants? And it's going to wind up being the county, because the cities are going to say, I ain't got the money to go fix a wastewater treatment plant. and they never wanted to incorporate in the first place. They wanted to be out in the ETJ or out in an unincorporated area to do a cheap project so that they could make money. And then 40 years from now, all these thousands of people come and are going to be sitting there going, this isn't what I signed up for. And then the county is going to be stuck trying to fix a problem. And then we're all going to look at the state and go,
Well,
your rules made it.
We got situations where the county has road standards.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one in Godley where the developer just went in and put it down. He got between the county and the city and just did it.
Yeah.
And now the citizens or the people in the subdivision wants the county to take the roads over. They're not to spec, and the county won't take it over. So we can't afford to redo all of these.
Right.
So the homeowners are stuck, and these are expensive homes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish people would understand that standards have to be met for long term, and it's difficult to. You're not going to make everybody happy.
No.
So we move on.
And that's why you have your boards, you have your commissions, you have avenues available, because if we've got some residents. Alvarado's got is old town, and we got some old parts of town. And so, you can't take all of your current popular design standards and say, this is going to apply to every old lot in Alvarado. And if we're trying to do infill and revitalization and take empty lots or, dilapidated housing and do new construction to replace it, you gotta find what works, and so you got to be flexible. So
I agree. Okay, I want to touch base on one thing that y'all do, and hats off to this. I can't remember. Is it Frontier Days that y'all have? What are y'all, Pioneer Days?
Oh, the Johnson County Pioneer and Old Settlers Reunion.
Yes,
Yes,
where y'all hold up the first responders and give award for the whole county.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. I've been there for the last 3 years or something like that, and the lady that does that, what's her name? Do you remember? I'm throwing you under the bus. I don't mean
Probably Jamie Jones is who you're thinking of.
I think it is. Okay. She does a great job. A lot of work to put all that together. It's neat to be in the waiting room with everybody that's back there, and are all sharing stories and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I enjoy that. Got the circus comes to town and all the rides.
They'll be back this year.
Yeah. So that's excellent. That's excellent. Let's we got a little bit of time left. Talk about the election. How many people do you have? Do you have anybody unopposed?
So I was up for re-election this year. I did have one opponent filed, but he actually didn't live in the city.
Okay.
And this was talking about earlier, the idea of community. So I'll be unopposed, and I get to serve for 3 more years. So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited about that.
On our council, we have 3. So with our home rule charter, one of the things that we accomplished, one of the most important things we accomplished was term limits. I'll put that out there.
Did you?
Yeah, we got
what's your
term limits. It's 9 years for council and 9 years for mayor. So your lifetime maximum is 9 years on council, lifetime maximum 9 years on mayor, and you could do 18 total if you do both.
Okay.
So, and that went into effect 2023. So I'm on the clock. I don't have much time to make sure that I leave the next level of leadership ready for what's coming. So we have 2 council members. We went from having 3 up at any given time to 2 council members with 3-year terms. And so Ward 1, we had a long-serving member there who'd spent 10 years, and so he decided not to seek re-election. And we've got a new candidate coming in there unopposed. So that's good. And then in Ward 2, we have an incumbent, and we have a newcomer that has filed. So we're on track for 1 council place election on the May 4th general election. And then we have a referendum item for our sales tax street allocation. So the cities have up to 2 cents sales tax that they can allocate. 1% goes to general fund. The other 1% is determined by the voters. And in 2019, we did 1/4 cent on street maintenance. But you have to re-up that every 4 years. So it's got to go out, or you lose it altogether. Yeah. So.
Okay.
So this year we're doing $1 million worth of street projects out of that fund. So it's going to be good.
Okay. And our general election is also May 4th. Where are you having yours? At City Hall, or where do you have yours?
Senior Center. It's going to be at the Senior Center. Yeah.
We share space with the sub courthouse, so everybody's going to one space now. So that's all good. 53 more seconds.
You done good, Chris.
Oh, you did good, man. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate all the mayors coming together and commissioners. Judge Bedecker has just been a bright spot. I'm proud of the master plan, and that's going to lead us into a bond package that leads us into matching federal funds like you were able to get, working with the COG, working with Michael Morris over at TxDOT. A lot of people involved in this to get things done. So you're always welcome here, Jacob. Appreciate
it.
I enjoy being around you. I like your earrings.
Thank you.
So we're getting close. Everybody out there, thank you for joining with us. Tim, thank you again, buddy. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah, nowhere but Texas.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio. Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further.